Yo, what's going on guys? It's Enemy1 back here with another video, and today I'm here with another part of What If Naruto had the jougan. So if you guys like the content in the channel, please subscribe to the channel, and while you're at it, also like this video. So let's begin the video. Uzumaki now stood on the borders of the land called the Land of Rains, infamously known as the land plagued by the rain. The Land of Rain was so far true to its legacy and the mysteries and uniqueness, at least to Naruto. Currently stead atop of Ada's largest vulture summon, and Shinobi carefully observed the small town beneath them. Arashi was beside him, as well as Ada, with the nervous Uzumaki's children huddled behind them, their fates now slowly in the hands of the last three soldiers of Uzu. Arashi observed his leader closing his eyes for a second and saw a slight visible frown on Naruto's face. "What is it?" asked Ada as he saw Arashi starting to concentrate. Unlike the boys, he was not good at sensing from such a distance. He was further irritated when the boys started grinning and shared a grim nod. They were not answering her question, which was making her nervous. "It seems I don't underestimate this nation," admitted Naruto, barely. "This is the nearest border towns, yet there are several squads, strong shinobi, not to mention," said Arashi mysteriously. "I don't understand. Since when does a border town start getting this heavy force for protection?" said Ada, confused. She saw Naruto's gaze fixed on the small patch of mountains that were a few kilometers away from the town. Ada couldn't see or feel anything from that place, yet Naruto's entire attention was fixed there, which must mean something. "Guess our bad luck never ends. Arashi, prepare for battle," instructed Naruto, making his friends tense. "Are you sure?" asked Arashi hesitantly, even as his hand reached towards his tanto. "We have been detected. Running now will only complicate things, not to mention destroy any chance of us ever finding a place in the Land of Rains. We might have to fight," insisted Naruto. "Can somebody tell me what the hell is going on?" risked Ada. She couldn't say it out loud, but Ada was scared. There was only a handful of times when she had seen that look on Naruto's face, and every memory had been a dreadful one. First when Uzu fell, and then Kisame, and now. "I don't have time to explain right now, Ada. I want you to remain here and protect the children. Under no circumstances are you to intervene," said Naruto with his ice-cold tone and his hands raised. When she opened her mouth to protest, "I am the team leader, and you will obey my orders. If nothing for else, then at least trust me for their sake," requested Naruto, pointing towards the worried children who were holding on to each other. That worked as Ada's defiance dimmed considerably. She stepped forward and engulfed both of her friends in a warm hug. "Be careful," she whispered, earning a small smile from the boys. Once they parted, Arashi and Naruto stepped towards the edge. Ada saw Arashi look towards his leader, who understood his obvious problem. All of them were at least a few thousand feet above in the air, and taking the birds down was not an option. "Hold on to me, Arashi," said Naruto cheekily, and gripped his friend's hand. Why do I get a feeling I want to what?" And the Uzumaki children gasped in surprise and saw when the both boys transformed into dark mist smoke. Amidst the dark night and shining in the moon in the sky, this was the sight to behold. The smoke hesitantly circled around the bird one last time as if to confirm their safety, before descending towards the ground at breathtaking speed. She had never seen something like this. It was clear that it was similar to her Sunshin. Naruto was quite secretive when it came to his dojutsu powers. It had been given that he was stronger than her and Arashi, and he was at least a Kage level, at least a low Kage. But to think he could perform with Sunsen at such a high height and distance, along with a passenger. Although she couldn't help but smirk and imagining Arashi's reaction to his little joyride. Arashi gracefully sprawled across the wet grounds, not a moment later, vomiting the contents of his stomach on the putty piece of land. He glared at his friend beside him, who was watching his humiliation with an amused smile on his face. "What the hell was that?" asked Arashi with little coughs. "Tell you what, if we survive this, I might tell you all about this technique," hinted Naruto. "If," said Arashi, earning a small chuckle from his crazy best friend. "Watch my back, Arashi," said Naruto calmly as the other boy came up beside him. "As if I have a choice," mumbled Arashi, and took out his weapon regardless and started scanning his surroundings. He realized that Naruto had transported them into a town, but instead of being met with the faces of the terrified civilians, they were greeted with a bizarre sight. The entire town was deserted. No sign of life existed, yet Arashi could feel a faint source of energy fluttering in the shadows. "I count 90, said Naruto challengingly. "What do we do about the ones present in the mountain?" asked Arashi seriously. "If my guess is right, then we have to reach them. If we are to become a part of the rain, then we need to do it legally with the permission of its rulers. Sneaking into the country like spies and hiding won't work for long," whispered Naruto, making Arashi double back in shock. "You purposefully brought us here," asked Arashi in shock. Naruto had a grace to look a little ashamed as he lowered his head. Arashi felt a slight rage build up inside of him. While he trusted Naruto with his life, his best friend's secretive nature and habit of concealing nearly everything from his best friends was getting on Arashi's nerve. "This isn't the town, is it?" asked Arashi tiredly. "No, it's a fourth frontier of the Rain Village, home to small glacier forces. I had received information that Hanzo was inspecting such frontiers, and that the Land of Rain shares with Konoha and the Sand Village. Now that the war is inevitable between the two great villages," confessed Naruto hesitantly. Arashi's head snapped towards the mountain as a horrible feeling started engulfing his stomach. This wasn't something accidentally encountered, but a planned battle. His friend had chosen that to go against Hanzo and his men. "If we survive this, Naruto, then we're gonna have more than a few words to speak," promised Arashi murderously as he took up a position behind his friend. Meanwhile, Naruto was grateful that his friend hadn't asked to where he got some information. Kisame had insisted that the information was correct, and Hanzo would never allow the Uzumakis to become the part of his village unless he saw firsthand their power in battle as well as their skills in different ninja arts. It was the reason that Naruto had came here alongside Arashi. His friend was skilled in ninjutsu and fuinjutsu and was capable warrior. Hanzo must have already sensed Ada's summoning in the air, and as she was a medic, he couldn't afford her to risk her life so recklessly. Nor could he trust her to throw a rage fit on learning the truth behind this encounter. In that matter, Arashi was at least mature enough to hold his temper. for now and focus on the more important task. Naruto knew this was a great risk, and if things went through, then he would make sure that Urashi and his people escaped safely. But deep down in his heart, he knew this was the only option. If he had explained this feeling to his friends, then he doubted they would have believed him as much as come here. But Naruto had already run out of options, and in his mind, this was the only way to do it. And he would deal with the consequences later. As the figures emerged from the shadows, Arashi stuttered, not because of the sheer amount of ninjas, but because of something sinister being born. Looking back, he choked back a gasp on seeing the terrors of several nights. A wave of this unfamiliar chakra floating around Naruto like flames emerging from a fire. A lengthy dark cloak made up of complete sinister dark energy was covering Naruto's back. But the scary thing that scared Arashi was that left eye. Naruto's one pure blue eye had now changed to a bright, whitish blue eye with a black iris. And yes, it was a jougan, the most powerful dojutsu in existence. This feeling of misery, death, murder, almost paying off all the sadness weighted down upon him. Is this the power of dark release of her jougan? Naruto thought Arashi fearfully as Naruto pointed his fingers towards now the shivering rain ninjas. I'll try not to kill you. Far away mountain, a few miles away from the border of the town of the Rain Village, stood two people, their eyes absorbing the decisive battle about to take place in their homeland. It was the historic moment for them, as it would probably mark the involvement of the Rain in the Third Great Ninja War. Yet this upcoming battle was extremely crucial for the Rain's survival. One must, of all people, a tall man with red hair covering one of his eyes, and his eyes were purple with ripple pattern in them. He was Nagato Uzumaki, the wielder of the Rinnegan, and also an Uzumaki, who was a fleeting member of the Uzumaki clan, and was never found. He was in the Rain Village. Beside him was a woman with blue hair and golden eyes, with a flower sticking in her head. She was Konan, the friend of Nagato Uzumaki. Interesting, whispered the woman. This chakra, I cannot even detect it with my Rinnegan, and that dojutsu somehow feels familiar, said Nagato. The woman looked at him. What do you mean by it feels familiar, Nagato? She asked. The man just shrugged. I have no idea. This eye is as weird as mine, and if I have to say, as powerful as mine, Arashi said, as he observed the boy completely decimate all the Rain ninjas. And the other one was just standing there, doing absolutely nothing. Naruto was he was holding back because he didn't want to kill all those Rain ninjas. Very well then, but you owe me an explanation to where you got the information about that shady people who are going to infiltrate our nation, said Conan flatly and sighed when Arashi smiled stoically. I guess that will do, but we have to inform Yahiko about this. Don't you agree, Conan? Said Nagato. Yes, we do, they said as they both vanished in the sunset. Naruto saw the fearful looks on the ninjas that he was facing. Their eyes showed fear. Unknown to his enemy, this fear and despair was only going to give him more power against him. And the only reason Kisame had mastered his power because the man had no fear in him and had more experience as a ninja. Naruto was sure that given a few years of experience, there would be hardly any ninja that could truly stand up to him as equal. Although he could have done without feeling Arashi's fear, he glanced at his friend, his jougan, which has only made the boy flinch. But the moment later, Arashi still did himself and gave him a nod. Naruto smirked. From every direction, hundreds of kunais, shurikens, exploding tags were hurled towards him. What made these incoming projectiles even more deadlier was they were being driven by the pure chakra, thereby doubling their traveling speed. In response, Naruto grinned and clasped his right hand. The entire attack was destroyed as the weapons, instead of hitting their targets, struck each other and obliterated. And even Arashi smirked on seeing the gobsmacked looks on the ninjas' faces. Although the smile vanished from Arashi's face when he saw Naruto snarl disappointedly. It was a known fact that Naruto was far more vengeful and destructive when his dark powers and that eye was being used. And watching this dangerous friend take a step towards only seeming to increase Arashi's worry, the next attack came very soon as Arashi spotted several umbrellas being thrown in the air. Pathetic, whispered Naruto. Before the umbrella could even open up fully, they crumbled down, with blood spilling out everywhere. Naruto lowered his hand and glared at the nervous rain ninjas. The ones who had lifted the umbrella had a nasty scar in their hand, and due to that fact, they couldn't do anything. "Is this the best you have got?" said Naruto. A few angry snarls were heard from the group as 5 young rain ninjas charged at the dark ninja. Their approach, shinobi, didn't seem more simple than a civilian running to Naruto. "I will never forget my people's pain," said Naruto as he pointed his hand towards the angry shinobi. Dark release for dark illusions. Naruto himself felt entering the midst of these teenage warriors. He could feel their raw anger at him for invading their country and insulting them so openly. He lashed himself to that anger and then started planning images in their vulnerable ninja minds. Not a few seconds later, the rest of the rain ninjas were horrified, and their 5 comrades simply stopped. 5 rain ninjas knelt before Naruto and, on Naruto's command, pointed their swords towards their own countrymen. To their shock, Arashi was stunned as the rest of the rain ninjas. "What are you?" whispered one of the young teenage of the ninjas. Her fear eyes widened. Naruto answered that question by unleashing his puppets of the rain ninjas on their former comrades. Arashi could only stare in horror as the rain ninjas' forces desperately tried to stop their own turned comrades without outright killing them. All while Naruto was simply stood there in spot with a disinterested look in his eyes. Kill them if you want, Arashi. I don't care," said Naruto. "You don't mean that, Naruto," said Arashi shakingly. Ada had warned him about the repercussions of Naruto using his eye and that dark power to this extent. But only now he could see the drastic changes in this power was bringing to his friend. It was only as if Naruto was becoming someone else, something else. Naruto was bored. Such humans like you don't deserve to live. "Universal pull," Naruto whispered. All of the rain ninjas, at least 40 of them, were pulled towards him, with, with Naruto still having that psychotic smile on his face. Dark release, black, and with that, a huge explosion stood in place, and everything within Naruto, within the 5 meters of radius, was evaporated. The rain ninjas were not seen. Every one single of them were evaporated like they never existed in the first place. But in reality, what happened was they were all pushed away so back that in such speeds that Arashi could not follow. To the rain ninjas, they were all groaning. They were barely alive, with blood pooling out of their mouths. Naruto saw the rain ninjas and smirked. If this is the best you can do, then this ends here, said Naruto. Before he could unleash again any of his attacks, he was stopped by a voice. No, stop! Naruto turned around when he saw a boy with spiky orange hair similar to his own and brown eyes almost glaring at him, and beside him was a redhead with that weird eye and a quite beautiful woman with golden eyes and blue hair. And who are you? Are you here to fight me as well? Said Naruto. And they saw the sinister smile on his face. No, we want to know what you're doing here, and if we can be of any help to you. I'm sure you're not doing this for no reason. I can see it in your eyes, said Yahiko as he looked at Naruto. Naruto looked at the boy. And how do you know that? Said Naruto as he closed his jougan. This was getting rather, what can you say, exhausting. That eye was powerful and granted him many abilities, but he couldn't use it for too long. It was just too intoxicating. Nico looked at his friend Nagato as Nagato nodded. You are Uzumaki, just like me, said Nagato. Naruto looked at Arashi. And what proof do you have that you are Uzumaki, except your red hair? You could just be one who was born with his red hair. Or are you traveling Uzumaki? Said Naruto, narrowing his eyes at the boy. Nagato just looked at Naruto with not a single fear in his eyes. Then that was because he had the power to defend himself. No, I am one of those wandering factors of the Uzumaki clan. My mother was. She found somewhere else to live, and the Uzukage never objected that, so we settled in the land of rain. But my parents were killed in front of my eyes by Hanzo's men, said Nagato, clenching his fist. Same goes for us, said Konan and Yahiko. As you can see, if you go to Hanzo, it'll only bring more trouble to you. He'll use you like a puppet and throw you out when it's unnecessary, said Yahiko. Naruto looked at him. And what can you provide my people? And how do you know that we are the survivors of the Uzumaki clan invasion? Said Naruto, narrowing his eyes at the three unknown people. Konan sighed. We got information. Unlike you, we have many spies even outside of the village. And due to them, we got the information that Nagato's clan was wiped out. But after seeing your friend and sensing them, due to Nagato's extreme senses, we could see that you, along with that boy and some others that were flying in that eagle, are Uzumakis. And I want you all to join us to overthrow Hanzo the salamander, said Conan in a serious tone. Naruto looked at them. And what do I get by doing this? I could just join Hanzo and kill you all. Wouldn't that be more beneficial for my people? Said Naruto. Or again, Nagato and Yahiko shouted at the same time. Absolutely not, they said. They both looked at each other and then scratched their back of their heads. Sorry about that, but as I told you, Hanzo will just use you and your people, just like the world has been doing to all those monkeys. Hearing that statement, Naruto's eyes narrowed. What do you mean by using those monkeys? Said Naruto. Nagato and Yahiko looked surprised. You didn't know? The Wandering faction was disbanded some time ago due to none of them returning back. My guess is they were neither killed. All the villages wanted to bring the Uzumaki clan of their own in their village, so whenever the Wandering faction just entered the village, they captured them and almost forced them to breed, said Nagato with a disgusted look on his face. Now that was shocking to Naruto and Orochi. You gotta be kidding me, right? Naruto, didn't know of this? Said Orochi looking at his best friend. Naruto shook his head. First time I'm hearing of this myself, and I don't believe it, to be honest, said Naruto, looking at Nagato. But by your tone, and I don't sense any malice coming from you, so I think he's telling the truth, said Naruto, as Orochi looked at his friend. That's fucked up, said Orochi, clenching his fist. Naruto looked at his friend. Orochi, stay calm. They have what we came here for, Naruto said, as Orochi looked at him. Orochi, go for a minute. Leave us alone. I want to talk to them. Alone. And Ada and the others are a little distance away. Go, I'm pretty sure you can catch up to them. Can't you? Said Naruto looking at his friend, who nodded. Very well then. Hopefully you come up with some good deal, said Orochi, rushing off to meet Ada and the others. Naruto then looked at the three. So, what's your goal in this entirely? Said Naruto. Even after ruling the Rain Village and overthrowing Hanzo, that's not where you want to stop, do you? I can see a huge ambitions in your eyes, all three of you. What is it exactly that you desire? Asked Naruto. All of them looked at him rather surprised. And what if we don't tell you? Asked Nagato. Naruto shrugged. If you don't want to tell me, the deal is off. Go and do whatever you want with Hanzo yourself. You're not gonna help. But let's go to another nation, and I'm pretty sure the deal will be more than happy to take us in, said Naruto as they all looked at him and sighed. What we want is world peace. Naruto's ears perked up on hearing those two words. World peace, you say? And how do you plan on achieving that? Asked Naruto, because he was getting interested in this conversation. The others saw that the boy was suddenly more interested. His eyes said it all. He wanted the same thing. By the look in your eyes, I'm guessing you want the same thing, don't you? Said Yahiko as Naruto nodded. Yes, I do. But I want to see if our ways somehow match each other, said Naruto as Yahiko nodded. Very well, I'll tell you. What I want, peace, is by experiencing pain. Making others experiencing pain and making us understand each other is the only way to achieve peace. At least that is what I think, and what is all three of us think, said Yahiko, when Naruto had a disappointed look on his face. True understanding, you say? You're naive, aren't you? Said Naruto. They all looked at him, rather offended, but they knew what he meant. You all know deep down that's impossible to achieve, don't you? Said Naruto. They all hung their heads low. They knew that it was impossible. And I here thought that I had someone with a similar mindset as mine. Now I guess I was wrong, said Naruto. Then how do you purpose we achieve peace? Asked Nagato, rather angry. Nagato looked at Nagato. You're a fellow clan member, so I guess I'll say to the three of you. And if you think my plan is good, how about it? How about you join the Akatsuki, a group that I'm starting to create to achieve my goals, said Naruto as they all looked at him. Very well then, if we do like it, that is, said Yahiko as Naruto smirked. Few moments later, all three of them had their eyes widened. With a clever and sort of cruel way that Naruto wanted to achieve peace. So you're saying that you're the one who will cause this third great shinobi war? Said Yahiko. And the way they're proposing peace is just... Is there any other way? Asked Naruto as they all looked at him. They couldn't think of any other way. No, I don't. There isn't, said Yahiko, the first time, making his two friends shocked. Yahiko was probably the most kindest one in their group, and the one who never gave up, but yet this boy changed Yahiko's ideals. How? You see the logic behind it, don't you, Yahiko? The only way to achieve peace is by destroying the other side until only one side remains. You inside are planning the same thing. I can see it in your eyes. Don't lie to me. I can detect darkness, so it's useless, said Naruto as he looked at Yahiko, who didn't want to look in his friend's eyes, but he nodded. Both Nagato and Konan were shocked by that. Yahiko, you mean... Yes. Besides all that, it was just a facade of wanting peace through understanding. Deep down I knew that was not possible. And this boy, the way that he wants to bring peace is just the only way that I can think of it's happening, guys. We have to join him. That's the only way, said Yaiko as he turned around and looked at his friends. We have to make this happen. The Akatsuki will make it happen. Let's join him, said Yaiko. Nagato and Konan had always followed him, and they would do the same right now. Naruto was looking at all of them. He could see it. It was the same. Konan was in love with Yaiko, and Yaiko was the same, but somehow Yaiko had something that was holding him back from confessing to Konan. And well, Nagato was sort of like a bridge between the group. It reminded him of him, Arashi, and Ada, but there was a difference. Their leader, Yaiko, was much more kinder than Naruto could ever be. And that was where that difference had occurred. So how about it? You join me and I'll help you overthrow Hanzo. And when that happens, you provide shelter to my people and make them one of the 4 noble clans of your village. Once that happens, you join the Akatsuki and help me achieve world peace with the land of rain reigning supreme over all, said Naruto as he opened his jougan to make his statement clear. All 3 of them stepped forward as Yahiko held out his hand. It'll be a pleasure to work with you, Naruto Uzumaki, said Yahiko. Naruto smirked. Welcome to the Katsuki.